Today, I want to talk to you guys about how to get more done and rest. That's right. I promise it can be done. Okay. I'm going to tell you today how to do that and how I have done that in my own life. I've got my black tea, delicious. Today, I'm drinking some Earl Grey, so good, in my Happy Dance cup. And we are thinking some positive thoughts today because we all need them, right? The world is all about hustle. Go, go, go. The one thing about 2020 that was good was it caused us all to stop. We are so used to going no matter what. No matter if we're sick, we just push through. We keep going to work. No matter if we're tired, we just push through. We keep on going. We are used to taking our children to this event or that class or this other thing or that play date, and we never really take times. Mamas, I'm mostly speaking to you, but I know there are fellas out there who have the same problem. So really, this just speaks to us all that we just need to take time to breathe. I have been like this for most of my life. In fact, I never would stop. I would not rest. I would just push through. You're sick. I grew up with family that, that was just what you did. You do the hard work and then you play. And if you didn't get your work done, you don't get to play. You keep on going. If you're sick, you still go to school. You do not stop. Resting was viewed as laziness, and I am here to tell you that's not true. God created the entire world, everything in it, and then He rested. If God can rest, I think we can take the time to rest and value that day. It doesn't have to be an entire day. And today I'm going to tell you how I've implemented this in my life and the huge benefits that I have reaped from it that I know you guys can too. Going through this past season that I've been in and all of the challenges and all the difficulty of life, I have come to realize I can't do this unless I take time to rest and take care of myself. It has shown me that rest is actually a need for me. There is no way that I can run my household, homeschool my children, manage my home, manage a homestead, and run a small business without rest. It's not possible for me. Maybe it is for you, but certainly not for me. A few years ago, God took me through a season where He told me, you're gonna take a year of rest, and I about freaked out. I'm like, what? Well, how does that look like? I have 3 children and animals, and a garden. What does this look like? And that's when God taught me that rest doesn't have to mean what most people believe it does. You can take things off your plate and make them a little bit more manageable for a season. For me personally, that looked like not hatching any chickens that year. That looked like not having as many goats that year. That looked like not planting the entire garden that year. And honestly, just taking time to live slowly and not schedule every moment of every day packed full. And it was one of the best things that I ever did. It really, honestly, what it did, the best thing that it did was it took me and prepared me for what I had no idea was about to happen in my life. And I'm so thankful that I listened to God and I took the time to go through that rest in order to be able to walk through what I had to walk through. So rest can also look a little bit differently from season to season. For us, the garden, sometimes certain beds will lay fallow and we don't manage them at all. We just leave them for the season and we plan on doing something with them next year. Sometimes that looks like winter, where the garden is completely buried in 3 feet of snow and we can't work outside. It doesn't mean you're sitting around all day doing nothing, although sometimes that can fit in as well. You really have to just pray about it and think about it and find what suits you and what you're hearing for that season. Mostly, the purpose of rest is taking time to reevaluate, rebuild, recharge, and refocus. So how am I implementing this in my life right now? Because really, you can hear all of the advice you want to, but unless you see it in action, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. So for me, that means quiet time is like the air I breathe. I absolutely have to have quiet time, at least in this season. Probably forever, but at least in this season for now. That means that I get up at 5 o'clock every single morning and I spend an entire hour where I am praying, I am reading my Bible, sometimes I'm journaling, I spend time enjoying my tea, and I take time to take care of my body. I have started a yoga program, and really it has been one of the most amazing things. And while exercising may not sound like rest, if you spend time physically recharging your body, you actually feel more rested at the end of the day. It's kind of crazy how that works. But I take that entire hour, I purposed to get up in the morning before my 3 children are awake. And that means I am doing all those things while I'm not being mom. If I don't choose to spend that time, it's especially in prayer and connecting with God, my day just doesn't flow very well, and that means I'm not as good of a mom as I could be. So that also looks like, at the opposite end of the day, taking the last hour of the day to just calm down, to come off of whatever maybe happened in the day, and to take time to journal it out and to write down things, because then it's not in my mind anymore. But I have found that if I can write down a lot of those thoughts, or especially the ones that are bothering me, I actually can process things out better, and then I can sleep better. The other thing is at the end of the day, I also take time to stretch, and I mean like not for 5 minutes, I mean at least 25 to 30 minutes. I need to make sure I take care of myself. I have some aches and pains that I have carried for my entire life, and I am taking the time now to take care of myself so that I can stay physically active. I can continue to be here and show up on my homestead and show up for my kids and do silly things like somersaults and handstands with them. And stretching has opened the door for that. Another thing that I have implemented is going for a walk. If I can just go for a 10-minute walk, even if it's right after dinner, sometimes my kids come, sometimes they choose to stay home, but really it just, if I need that transition time and just a quick break, it provides exactly what I need to continue through and get through bedtime and the rest of the evening a lot better than if I wouldn't have taken the time to go for that walk. And I'd actually really like to thank my mom, who implemented this in her life and led by example. So thank you, Mom. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the times when you're like, hey, let's go for a walk real quick, because there's not a single time where I have ever regretted doing that. It really helps me just to refocus and reconnect in the day and be able to carry on. Another way that I've implemented rest time in my life is I truly do take an entire day off once a week. It's not always the same day during the week. So I've made a list of all the things that take out of me and all the things that put into me, and the only things I'm allowed to do on my rest day are the things that put into me as best I can. Obviously, I cannot control the universe or my children and their attitudes and things like that, but to the best of my ability, I like to choose to do things like go for a hike or get out in the woods or go foraging, painting, journaling, listening to music that really fills me up, especially worship music, especially soaking worship music. I love those kinds of things. And then the last thing that I do is I started doing a thankfulness/gratitude journal. I usually do that every single day of the week, so it's very short, it's very quick. On my rest days, I actually expand that, and I just list a couple things that I'm thankful for overall in the week, and then I also add in my top accomplishments. I find in order to keep a positive mindset, it's really helpful to list the positive things that have happened in my life, the things that I've accomplished, the things that God's accomplished in my life. And then if I get stuck in the week at any point, I can go back to that journal and I can read them. And at this point, I have hundreds of things I'm thankful for, even in one week. And that is so encouraging, because whatever you focus on is what you make more room for in your life. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want any more negativity in my life. I want positive things. I want God's blessings. I want abundance. And the only way I'm going to get that is if I choose to make room for it in my life. So rest is the same way. It's not going to magically appear out of nowhere. You're not going to magically have an extra 5 minutes or whole day to set aside for rest. You have to choose to make it a priority in your life and make it happen. Okay, we're back. So it's always amusing when you are filming a video and run out of memory. So I filmed for, you know, a good 5 to 10 more minutes before I realized that my phone wasn't recording anything. So I am back in a different part of the garden today. It is so pretty out here. It's like such it's like kind of its own little room, its little escape over here. So I'll film the rest of this video for you in this space. Okay, so we were talking about rest and how to implement that in your own life, and also the benefits of that I have noticed in my life. So a few ways that I have noticed a dramatic change in my own life since implementing more rest is, number one, I can get so many more things done. And the reason I can do that is because I am taking time to fill up my own self, and then I have something to pour out of. You really, like, I can't say this enough, because I have done it, that you just can't keep pouring out of an empty cup all the time. So if you take the time to fill yourself up, you have more to give, which is so great. Another part of that is that taking time to physically take care of myself. I have done that through chiropractor care, massage therapy, as well as just taking the daily herb supplements that I should be taking for my own self, and taking time to exercise. Now, earlier in this video, I did mention that I have implemented some yoga routines. I did want to clarify that not all yoga is fantastic if you are looking for sort of a Christian, if you will. That I have stayed away from yoga for many years because of it doesn't generally be God focused, and there are certain things that you have to be careful of, and you don't want to open any doors. So the program that I'm using, I'm not an affiliate for it or anything. It's called Asana Rebel. It kept popping up on my Facebook over and over and over, and then multiple friends were like, oh, you should try this, you should try this. So finally, I really felt prompted to try it, and the results for me have been incredible. I feel so much better. I am stronger than I've ever been in my life, and I love this particular program because it cuts out all the spiritual stuff, and it's just the exercise. And it's really the instructors in it. There's many different instructors, and you can, like, they're constantly reminding you to be aware of certain parts of your body, and, you know, to make sure you don't hurt yourself. And for me, that's really valuable, because it means that my brain can't wander anywhere, because they're constantly reminding you to, you know, do this pose, or and not in like an obnoxious way. I don't take it that way either, but anyway, that's been really helpful. But I did want to put it out there, like, if you are trying to find something that is not inundated with the spiritual side and it's just the exercise, that's what's working for me. So number two, in ways that I have seen this really help me, is I can think more clearly. And the reason I can think more clearly is because I'm taking time to take care of my body. I'm taking time to take care of my spirit. I'm taking time to connect with God's spirit, and I'm taking time to just process all of these major emotions I've been going through, and just making like a solid effort to do that. And when I started doing that, I noticed so quickly that my mind was just freed up to not be so cluttered all the time. And that is really helpful for me. Honestly, one of the main benefits is actually for my children, is that I'm not so cranky. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when your brain just gets full and there's noise all the time and there's stuff, like, there's so many things to do, it really just leads to a really stressful life. And so now not that I'm doing anything less, actually I'm doing more now than I ever have before, but I'm not like my mind is clear, and that is so wonderful. I have mentioned multiple times that I take the time to get into God's word, to connect with his spirit. And what I have found is that because I have made this part of my daily routine and a significant part of that, I can access his spirit a lot quicker. Now, I am a firm believer that his spirit is on us all the time. His spirit is here. He never leaves us. But we tend to walk away from him frequently. And so the more, if I start my day with him, it's like a reminder of, oh, hey, you want to connect with me right off the bat. And so then just, instead of like waking up and going straight to social media, I wake up and go straight to my time with him. And so instead of chaos of social media being the foundation of my day, it's God and his goodness and all the wonderful things that are going on in our life. That's the foundation. And so it reminds me a lot more often through the day to keep him a part of my day. And it's been amazing. Another thing is that I have found I struggle to stay in the present moment. I am full of dreams, full of ideas, full of plans, plus I have kids, and like a lot of times, especially people with my personality type, tend to go off into our minds, and we can be fully functioning on the outside doing all the things, but really in our mind we're somewhere else. I don't know about you guys, but I really don't want to miss out. I have extreme value in what's going on in my life right now, and I love it so much that I don't want to look back and say, oh, I was somewhere in the future or somewhere in the past. I want to make sure that I'm fully present in as many moments as possible. Not to say there's not time to dream and think about the future, because I often do that, but it's allowed me to just put those things, like set a special time aside when I can do that. And like right now, I can be talking to you guys and I'm fully engaged with you. A lot of the, we'll call it training that I received through difficult times in life has allowed me to be able to go on, I like to call it autopilot, easier than a lot of people can. And it's not a great thing. It really isn't. So setting aside time for rest has really helped me not go on autopilot and be able to be present. This has really helped me, is that I'm able to take time to strategize my life. And what I mean by that is, if you are like a leaf on the wind and you just let life take you wherever, and other people influence you and other people do that, you're not really in charge of your life. And for me, number one, I want to be fully surrendered to God. I want to be able to give as much of myself to him as possible. And I also want to direct my life in a way that he is leading. And so in order to do that, that means I need to, make a plan, make a schedule, whatever, a routine, anything that's going to allow that to happen. And for me, that's what it looks like. I am better able to see what I want out of my life, figure out the direction that God has for me, and make a plan in order to get there. And that's what I mean by don't float around. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what God wants for me. And so I want to go after that as hard as I can, because it's exciting. It's so much fun partnering with him. And so I am much better able to do that through rest. So you guys have heard the benefits of how this has helped me. You have heard the stories of the ways that I have done this, but how do you guys get this implemented in your own life? Well, that's what I'm gonna tell you right now. So it's not as hard as you would think. The first way is just start with like 5 minutes or 2 minutes, or 1 minute. If you have to start, you've got to start somewhere. And if you try to take on an entire day, you might not be able to do that, and then you'll end up discouraged. So what I like to do is, I call them quick wins. So it basically is an insurance policy to ensure that you do this and you do a good job and you get encouraged with it. I use this with my children all the time, and it works brilliantly. I use this with myself as well. So all you have to do is sit down for a minute and think, where can I save time? And you're only looking for 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, something very simple and very attainable. Okay. So are you sitting there multiple times a day scrolling social media? If you're doing that, what if you took one of those scroll sessions, you pick up your phone and you're like, oh, okay, put the phone down, think for a second. Can you walk away for a minute? Can you go to a different room and just shut the door and just take a second to breathe? Can you just walk outside your door, outside into nature or into your backyard, somewhere clean, somewhere quiet, and can you just walk out there and just take a deep breath? And that's it. There you go. Do that every single day. And when you've done that for a week straight, then take another minute back, then take another minute. And what's going to end up happening is that you're going to find that you love doing that and you're going to want more of it. And so then instead of you saying, oh, I have to give a whole hour to rest, because I don't know about you, the moment I tell myself don't do something, even if I don't even usually do this thing, then that's what I want to do. We're a little bit rebellious, aren't we? So instead of doing that way, say, I get to go do this. And you just take that 1 second. Another way is that you can go take a walk. It doesn't have to be a long walk. If you live in a city, go around the block just one time. Go to the end of the driveway and back. It doesn't have to be this big ordeal. Get out there and don't let the weather stop you. Do it anyway. Get out there and just go take a quick walk. Another way you can implement this is if you already are working out or doing some kind of physical activity in the day, try to do it outside. What I have found is if I can take off my shoes and socks and I can get grounded in the grass, it actually recharges me a lot faster than if I am doing it in a closed environment or in the house or somewhere like that. The next way is implement quiet time with your children. If you have young children, even if you have older children, you can implement quiet time. It doesn't have to be long. It could be 15 minutes. It could be 25 minutes. It could be all the way up to an hour. I try not to go over that hour mark. If I am doing an hour with my kids, I generally try to give them special things to do during that hour that they don't usually get to do in the day. But implementing quiet time is not only beneficial for you, but it's beneficial for your children because they get a chance to do the same thing that you're doing. Recharge, reconnect, have a break from siblings, and just have some peace and quiet. I've already mentioned this, but I'm gonna say it one more time. You can just step outside for a minute and just take that quick time, just a breath, and walk back in, and you will be amazed at what a difference that will make. The last thing that I want to encourage you to do is to take the time to write down what does rest mean for you, because I will promise you what rest means for you is not the same thing as what it means for me or my children, and what it means for you to get recharged isn't the same thing that recharges me. So just take the time. It can be a really short thing. It just list a couple of things that recharge you. And on the flip side of that, list a couple of things that really take out of you. So for me, it's spending long periods of time away from my home and with large groups of people. That's really challenging for me. And so I have to plan, like for this conference that we just did, the Modern Homestead Conference, it was amazing. And I actually did get very recharged from that. However, I didn't expect that because that's not typical for me. I had planned an entire week of rest afterwards because I knew I needed to reconnect with my kids, make sure my farm was back in order, and make sure that I was rested so that I can continue running my home and my business. All right, you guys, that is how you can get more done with rest. I hope that this video was really helpful for you. If it was, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. It really helps the channel grow and we can share this with more people. I know so many people who are just tired and anxious all the time, and it's my hope to be able to share what has been helpful for me with you guys so that you can feel as rested and as wonderful and even better than I feel. Remember to learn and grow, and I'll see you in the next one.